News to get to. First, breaking developments in Eastern Europe, where talks between Russia and Ukraine are underway for the first time since the invasion. Now, this morning, members of the Ukrainian delegation landed at the Belarusian border to meet with representatives from the Russian Federation. Ukraine demanding a, quote, immediate ceasefire and withdrawal of Russian troops before those talks begin. This while there is heightened concern in regards to nuclear weapons. On Sunday, President Putin put Russian forces on high alert, Russian nuclear forces, as hundreds more military vehicles move toward Kyiv. Now, as tanks roll in, thousands of people are trying to get out. According to new numbers just released by the UN, more than 500,000 people have fled Ukraine since the invasion started last week. Now, we are seeing powerful images of families and children trying to escape to Poland. American voters and our viewers have a lot to say about the Russian invasion. The majority are in favor of the U.S. defending Ukraine. This morning, we're going to break down the full results of our exclusive NewsNation poll. But right now, we go live to Poland, where Robert Sherman and our team have moved all the way from the Mexico-U.S. border to the border of Ukraine and Poland on the ground for a firsthand look at what the refugee situation is like right now. Robert?
Good morning to you, Adrienne. Big developments here in Europe. If those peace talks are honest and in intention between Ukraine and Russia, it would be arguably the biggest development in this whole conflict. That is a big if, however. We have heard from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who has said that he does not believe that these peace talks will yield much, but he's willing to do anything in order to continue forward with the prospects of peace. As we've seen over the last few hours, the Russian advance continues here in Europe.
Russian reinforcements are on the way as Ukrainians hold on to Kyiv and several other cities. New satellite images show a Russian convoy that's more than 3 miles long making its way to Kyiv. It contains much-needed logistics for Putin's army, including fuel, tanks, armored vehicles, and more soldiers. On Sunday, a warning to the West. Vladimir Putin ordering Russian nuclear deterrent forces to be put on high alert. Other world leaders calling it a meticulous maneuver.
I think that's a distraction from the reality of what's going on in Ukraine.
But the Ukrainians steadfast in their resistance. The Pentagon says Russia is facing more resistance than expected in Kyiv. New pictures from a suburb outside of Kyiv show military vehicles burnt out and thrown across the roads. The head of Ukraine's armed forces posting video showing a drone strike on a Russian missile system. But Russia continues to launch waves of artillery and missile strikes. The Kremlin targeting Ukrainian air bases and infrastructure. An oil depot lit up the sky with an orange haze after being shelled. Russia says it's only targeting military targets, but it's facing growing accusations of going after civilian areas. The latest numbers from Ukraine's health ministry claiming over 350 civilians have been killed, 14 of them children.
And the EU estimates that when all is said and done, 7 million Ukrainians could be displaced. You can see some of them behind us here. Some of these people have come far and wide to get to this point here in Poland, packed up their whole livelihoods, threw them into suitcases, nothing here with them, no sense of direction. All they have are the clothes on their backs. Adrienne?
And Robert, as we mentioned just moments ago, more than 500,000 people have left Ukraine in the ways that you're describing. What lengths have people gone to just to get out of Ukraine?
These stories are pretty incredible, Adrienne. We've talked to multiple families down here. Every one of them has their own hellacious story. Some of these people have started in cities such as Kyiv, taken any means of transportation they could to get close to the border, then walked another 30 miles to get to the border. Once they got to the border, they had to stand in line waiting 24 to 48 hours just to get through and into Poland. When the people come through here, as the border's just not too far away from us, they're tired, they're cold, they're hungry, they're utterly exhausted. Thankful to be here in Poland, but still very worried about what's happening in their beloved Ukraine.
I have to ask you a question. I know you're traveling with a veteran news producer, Bartley Price there. He's covered war-torn regions for much of his career. When it comes to the tone there, I would imagine there's a lot of panic and questions about what's next for their lives.
It is amazing, Adrienne, that just about everyone has said the same thing. They can't believe this is happening. 2 weeks ago, they couldn't believe this was going to happen. And there's still this sense of incredulousness from a lot of the people who we speak with, that they just can't believe that this has happened to their country. So a lot of questions, a lot of panic and concerns about what the future holds for them. Optimistic and hopeful that things will work out and that they'll be able to return to Ukraine, but still a lot of fear for the future.
Thank you so much, Robert, for traveling there to tell this story firsthand. Right now, Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.